So there were lots of incidents of people dying of natural causes, but there was also death by suicide.
Whoa, that's very dark. What an interesting place to choose. It's a death sentence.
Hello and welcome to It's a Death Sentence.
With your hosts from their pink thrones. I'm Emma Skip.
And I'm Carrie Smith. What are we talking about today?
Well, I thought before we start, today we're going to talk about death and Disney and the whole thing. I know, we've been talking about this episode for ages. I'm really excited about it. As per usual, we've gone off and researched separately and then we come together with no firm plan and just go for it. And somehow make it work. But Carrie, I think before we start, I just want you to tell me a bit about your week and how it's been, because I have just witnessed a phone call that you were on that I think maybe made you want to use some language. So the last time I saw you, Carrie, you were in your mortuary scrubs and we were doing our first online sort of thing between us.
That didn't really go that well. I'm all right. I've been busy, which is maybe not a good thing in my line of work.
No, tells us only one thing, doesn't it, if you're busy?
Yeah.
It's peak time. Have you had any moments this week of like grief-fueled moments?
I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I? I'm exhausted and I don't know whether that is potentially just the remnants of grief. Like I feel physically exhausted at the minute. I don't know why I'm so worn out, and I think it probably is, bits of that.
I think it is, we forget, don't we, that we're both bereaved only less than 7 months ago, and you just crack on. And in your line of work, you really do, because it's so physical as well. So I'm not surprised to hear you like that, I know you've got a holiday coming up, but the reason I ask is because I know you've got it hard at the moment. Your dad's obviously poorly as well. But I found myself this week having a couple of sadness chasers.
And so did you?
Yeah, I was going to check in with you about that. So I've dreamt about my dead parents this week.
Oh, both together?
Yes. Yeah. And it was so weird because whenever I've dreamt about my mom, she's always really pissed off at me. Always, without fail. When my sister dreams about her, it's like some deeply philosophical and meaningful dream where, like, I don't know, they've just skipped off into the sunset. She'll hate me for that. That didn't happen. But for me, she's nearly always pissed off. So I have, in my dream, my mom and my sister are both in bed and my sister's complaining about being a new mom, which she's not doing in real life. So I don't know where that's come from. It's my inner psyche about my own life. And my mom was complaining about being unwell, which, as you know, she did a lot of when she was unwell. And, why not? And then I thought, oh, okay, well, fuck this then. Everyone's being mean to me. So I went downstairs into what was my childhood home when my dad was reaching out of the kitchen window. My dad is also dead, but not in the dream. He was alive and well. Reaching out the kitchen window to get some buddleia plants to put in the food.
Oh.
And then I text my ex-boyfriend.
Wow, times were difficult then.
Bad week last week. Went speed dating as well. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to check in with you about, because I know that you're having a tough week. But I mean, how does that, other than absolute fatigue, how is that sort of presenting itself to you?
Well, I'm pretty stroppy all the time, so...
Oh, yeah.
Probably that. I don't know. I have been thinking about my brother quite a lot, and I've booked some holidays to spend some time with his little boy. Okay. And obviously my dad's not well, so I think it's everything, isn't it? It's life. Life is life in right now.
Well, shall we move on to today's episode? Yeah. It's funny, when I said to you about death in Disney, you just went, yeah, straight away. But I wonder whether we've both thought of a slightly different meaning. So I've said, we're discussing death in Disney. For me, it's really nostalgia based, being a young child in the 80s and growing up with Disney as a staple storytelling narrative. That was part of our childhood, wasn't it? I considered the ways I might have viewed death as a child after watching these films. In fact, it probably looks like a nostalgic films generally, not just Disney. Because I think actually, although Death and Disney's like a great title, I think we think of those films of our childhood. But particularly ones with, a death storyline, they've informed our characters to a degree, haven't they? So, and that got me thinking about My Girl. Do you remember My Girl?
Oh my God, that was devastating.
Wasn't
Watching
it?
that was devastating.
Yeah. Also,
it was actually it was good.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. So Disney doesn't do that. It doesn't do literal at all. It really doesn't. And we'll come on to that. But yeah, it got me thinking about My Girl. And I remember probably that was one of the first films I ever cried at. It was the first time I thought, a child could die.
Yeah, I definitely cried at it. And actually, what I found interesting is the song, My Girl, still makes me feel sad, even though it's a happy song, because it reminds me of the film. I don't know, it was like the sadness chaser, wasn't it?
Yes.
Hearing that song afterwards was like reminding you of what happened in the film.
Yeah, absolutely. But music does that a lot, doesn't it? Music and smells, one of our biggest sort of points for nostalgia. Many Disney stories present death as something inevitable, like an afterlife or a reincarnation, would you say?
Yes.
But I think historically it's been confusing for our age group potentially by romanticising it a little bit.
Yeah.
Particularly things like Sleeping Beauty and Snow White, although there is definitely poison there, and them being brought back to life. So there's a lot of that with the Disney stuff, isn't there? But
they were sleeping, were they?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's temporary. It's it's alluded to they've died, but there's this chance that they're going to come back. Which, if that's the narrative from when you're a child, I think that's quite sort of strange and distressing when you realise that won't happen.
And actually, that is one of the things some kids ask when they're young, isn't it? Or when are they coming back?
Yeah, well, you would.
Maybe that is informed by the films.
Yeah, what was first, chicken or egg there? It's definitely really hard to say, isn't it? Like Bambi, I was thinking about. Bambi loses the mother, but that makes the transition from the child to like an independent deer have to be present. He has to go through that.
There's a lot of Disney films that mum and dad die. Yeah. There's quite a few, isn't it? And is that to do with like growth of the character? Possibly. Maybe showing that they're coming into their own or that they can make it in the world.
Possibly. And Bambi particularly, he grows up to be like the role of the father, doesn't he? So that's another kind of life lesson, I suppose, or it's certainly an old-fashioned life lesson. But the idea of that life replaces itself and the identity continues through like to the next generation, which I quite like.
I like that. I think that's nice.
Yeah. And it, from a physical point of view, we know that happens. So for children, that's quite palatable, isn't it? Or you look a little bit like grandma, that kind of thing. Not now.
Because she's in her grave.
I was thinking about the Lion King as well, because Mufasa. That is a really clever thing. So it was obviously the Circle of Life, the great song, the Circle of Life. But the idea of it returning to nature made me think of previous episodes we've done about, death returning to nature, essentially, whether it's through cremation, burial, whatever. It actually is telling a story that's not untrue. So I felt like that was Disney probably going about it the right way, because it's also it's not religious, is it?
No, but it does cover like the afterlife, doesn't it?
It manages to do it in a very kind of ambivalent way, doesn't it? So it's not attached to any particular faith or anything that we're aware of. That's how do you think so?
Yeah. It's sort of more like symbolic.
Yeah.
Do you think that Disney helps children deal with grief properly then?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good introduction to death. Grief, not so much. And it mystifies death, I think, a lot. So it's spun into the story and it's often secondary to the story.
I find it sometimes off camera.
It's an idea or it's alluded to, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's never like any long-term illness really.
No,
a nasty...
No. There's no trauma with it. And I think that's the key thing, isn't it? There's not... When you compare a Disney film to My Girl, these are two different things. But then you think of the Disney films that are a little bit newer, if you like that, like Coco. I know you love that one,
Yeah.
don't you?
I like anything Day of the Dead.
Yeah, but the dead in that film continue to exist in another realm as long as they're remembered, and I love that as a concept. And to teach children that is a lovely principle. It's a really nice idea, but is it confusing for the child?
Not if you live in Mexico, because everybody's doing it. Let's all just move to Mexico.
So if you're not living in Mexico,
I suppose, again, it's based on, it's looking more at a tradition though, isn't it? To like sort of culture and tradition, I think.
yeah,
The way that we
definitely, yeah.
The way we honour death in those particular
But
cultures.
I wonder if you're a child growing up in this country and you don't know anything about the culture in Mexico, is it slightly confusing or is it comforting?
I don't know.
It really depends on the individual and how they're being brought up as well, doesn't it? I think that Disney often treats death like it's a deep sleep, like you said. So the obvious one is Sleeping Beauty, but isn't that Brothers Grimm?
That was originally, I think it is originally a Brothers Grimm, but it reminds me of Romeo and Juliet.
It is, absolutely. And also, you've got Snow White's glass coffin and Aurora's enchanted sleep. They both have a Romeo and Juliet undertone, don't they?
Yeah. And the man saves the day.
The man saves the day.
Wakes them up with a kiss.
Yeah.
What
I mean, I don't know whether, would anybody write a storyline like that now?
I think that some people still like the idea of the romanticised version of true love's first kiss and all that. I think some people do.
Yeah, I
like
think
the
we
idea
do.
of it.
Perhaps we used to it though. What I mean is, if you gave that to a child where they've never heard that concept before,
would they be like, "What is this?
Yeah, what is this? I live in a woke world now. I'm not sure about this."
Maybe.
Hard to say,
it's hard
isn't
to
it?
say because we're middle aged.
That's true. And then you've got even later the films that came later, things like Frozen, and that was the loss of parents, wasn't it? But that was interesting for me. So my children watched that when they were quite young, and I would say they have absolutely no idea that it's the loss of parents because it's, again, secondary. It's not the main narrative in the story. It's secondary. But when the age my two were when they watched it, it was all singing, all dancing. But I wonder now, because I'd say, "Do you want to watch Frozen now?" They'd be like, "No, we're too grown up for that, Mum. We're 8 and 9. Whether they would have a much, much bigger understanding of what was going on and actually find it more emotional.
I don't know, because I'm sure when I watched it, I didn't even notice.
Excuse me, but you thought it was crap.
No, I really like Frozen, but I thought it was all right, yeah. Well, I actually love Disney anyway. When we went to Disneyland, we went to see the Frozen show and it snowed inside. I cried. It's very emotional, yeah. My son loved it and he was only little at the time. And all the parents and the little children singing along, it was magical to see.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good. And there was a bit of humour for the parents as well, like on a stage show.
Well, I think Disney do that very well now.
Bit of tongue in cheek.
Especially the Pixar stuff.
But yeah, I had no idea that there was, probably because I was looking at the songs and singing along myself. I mean, I know that the parents died, but only.
But that again, it's not. Yeah, it's not the premise, is it? Yeah. How was Disneyland? See, for me, I think that Disneyland could be the death of me.
I did some research on like people dying at Disney.
Of course you did.
Because I thought that's, more on brand for me than, where to get Disney ears, although I do have a pair of Disney ears. And I found out that in the last 3 months since January 2026, there has been 6 deaths at Disney World, which is mad, isn't it? That's what was reported in this report. Allegedly, there's been 6 deaths recorded at supposedly the happiest place on earth.
Does it, give details of the deaths?
Natural causes like heart attacks and things like that, because there are rides, and obviously they all come with warnings, and people do die on these sorts of rides. In fact, there was a medical emergency when we were there, but I don't think anybody died, but there was definitely a medical emergency. And you don't know what happens, do you? People could be unwell and die. You just don't know.
Could you imagine, like being on a ride, like a 4-seat, like a Nemesis type style ride, and you got a harness on, and the person next to you dies? And like the ride stops, you don't really notice, but like they don't move.
I think that has happened.
Oh my God.
I mean, it can happen, obviously. The adrenaline.
Well, statistically, it must happen. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people going through these rides.
Yeah, all different ages, all different ages. So there were lots of incidents of people dying of natural causes, but there was also death by suicide.
Whoa, that's very dark. What an interesting place to choose.
Yeah, it's crazy. And apparently since 1971, there's been approximately 60 to 70 deaths across the property.
I'm going to say that's low for the volume of people that must have gone through it. That's got to be low, because you're talking, hundreds of thousands of people a year.
I mean, like, it's busy. That is a low number, but it's still, you wouldn't expect anyone to die there because it's so magical. But I'm okay. It has affected me, this research. But I tell you, the other thing that I found interesting, well, when I was there, it is the most magical place on earth. And at night, when they do the fireworks, everybody is like, ooh, second the fireworks stop, it's like they will fucking walk over you to get out.
They're chewing off their own arm to get out. Yeah.
There is no, like, everyone's got their arms around each other. You're letting families in front of you so everyone can see the beautiful fireworks. And the second they stop, it's like hell on earth.
No, I wouldn't like that at all. Do you know, it's interesting because I thought I'm lucky enough that my ex-husband and I get on, and I thought maybe we could take the children somewhere together at some point. And I thought we could do Disney in Paris. And then I suggested it to him and he was like, yeah, let's do that at some point. And then a friend of mine went and she said something really similar to you. She said at one point they were in a group that was so intense that she saw somebody be sick because they couldn't get out of the crowd.
Wow.
Just too many people. Like, and because she knows me, she's like, Emma, it isn't for you. Yeah, she said, it's not for you at all. No? Some kind of event, queuing up for some kind of event. I mean, it's not about that. I just can't imagine. I do, I've heard people say it is truly magical, like you just have. But for me, if it came with that as well, I think I don't think I'd cope.
Sometimes it's stressful, but like we tend to go out of season. Like, we wouldn't go in peak season.
Yeah, that's how I feel about going anywhere.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the death of a villain?
Yeah, I like villains. Villains are my favourite.
Who's your favourite Disney villain then?
Oh, I really like Ursula. I can't think of any now off the top of my head.
To be honest, it's more like how Disney do it that I was interested in.
Okay.
So I was thinking about the deaths in Disney, and then I didn't really give it much thought about the villains. And I was like, actually, no, there are a couple of films that spring to mind. So one was The Little Mermaid. With Ursula's death is dramatic, but it's not mourned. Do you remember how she dies?
It's right at the end, isn't it? Where she's
hit by a ship.
Yeah.
So the way Disney do these villainous deaths generally is it's kind of circumstantial, but it leads you to believe that they deserve it, but it's not at the hands of the hero. No. It's never at the hands of the hero. So the other one is Hercules. Yeah, I saw it when I was quite young, but Hades' death is framed as justice, not a tragedy.
And I suppose the deaths of villains are to be celebrated.
Yeah, or they cause their own deaths. So in The Lion King, Scar, he is killed by the hyenas, but he manipulated the hyenas, didn't he? So again, you're getting the viewers to sympathise
with the perpetrator. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, exactly that. Tarzan is another one. Clayton accidentally hangs himself while attacking Tarzan.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it when I was a kid. I don't remember that one as well. Do you? So Disney's just quite good at removing it, not making it too traumatic, but almost like kind of championing the villain to die, as long as it's not at the hands of anybody we like, and as long as it doesn't cause us any trauma at all. And it can kind of easily be forgotten.
Yeah, because there's a marriage or something straight after to celebrate.
Yeah, it's got to be like justice, not violence.
I mean, there is no better way to frame that, really, is there? Murder.
Yeah, Ursula was struck by a ship at the end of The Little Mermaid. So, and they often do it through falls, explosions, or natural forces. Again, so there's no
murder involved.
Which is nice, really. I wondered whether, does this help kids understand the consequences of actions? I mean, I'm going to say probably not. If it does, not in the right way. But could it possibly, this is a question, this is not a statement for those of you who might want to leave a comment about it, could it give the message that these characters deserve to die?
Well, it definitely sounds like it's giving that.
But, that isn't reflected in real life, is it? When we see characters in certain situations that you might think, in the news, for example, where you think, oh, probably be better off without that person.
Let's not be political now.
But what I'm saying is it's not mirroring anything that they're seeing, but it's giving this, it's kind of indicating that, right, he's the bad guy, he deserves to die. That is the message we're giving the child, isn't it?
Maybe that's why as adults we feel so unjust when somebody gets away with something.
Or maybe that's in our nature as humans. Because really deep down, we just want to actually kill them ourselves.
We just want to give in to the inner psycho.
The inner psycho. Love that. Coco. Let's go back to Coco, because that is one of the only ones I could think of that directly explores grief as opposed to death.
Yeah, but do you think it sparks grief conversations? Watching that film, do you think if you had a child who'd lost somebody?
No, I think children are too literal. I think that they will ask questions about, particularly because it's about a different culture. I think my children, I have watched it with them, it was a while ago, and obviously children, they change quite rapidly. I think that they would ask me more questions that are directly about the visual things they can see.
Like skeletons and, yeah.
I can't, exactly that. And the costumes and the kind of flamboyance of it. But I can't remember, how grief is actually described in that film. Can you remember?
Well, it covers grief, I think, in a way of like remembrance. So it's more remembrance than grief, I think.
Yeah. And then the last one I was thinking about is Soul. We've only watched it recently in the last few weeks. If you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it. It's brilliant, but probably way more philosophical than the other Disney films. But it's a beautiful story, isn't it?
Quite grown up, isn't it? Yeah. And it deals with the afterlife, or like an idea of the afterlife. Yeah. And that sort of like you have a purpose, which I thought was nice.
And it does it in a bit like Inside Out, doesn't it? Where you can see the soul as an actual physical thing. So when we try and explain to children about, do you think you've got a soul? I mean, it's a really big concept for a lot of children. They've heard the word, but it doesn't really mean anything. And if they grow up in a religious environment, they'll hear it spoken about. But again, it's not something you can see. So they can't, and it's not like love. You know what love is because you can feel it, but you can't really see it. So I think like Inside Out and Soul do that really well. They get it really like visual so that you can see all those are kind of the things that are really difficult to explain to children, basically. Come on then, what dark, fascinating facts have you got for us, Carrie?
When I started looking at Disney and of course death, I sort of got into the dark side of Disney. Yeah. And I watched like a whole load of YouTube films on the dark side of Disney, which, there's people out there that do like videos, just facts on sort of Disney and the dark side of it, which I just thought was fascinating. I thought it was really good. And there's a few urban legends that sort of go with Disney hand in hand. And Walt Disney himself, obviously he's dead. There was a huge urban legend that his head was cryogenically frozen, and that his head was buried or frozen under Disneyland. So it's kept there. Wow. Underground in Disneyland.
Do you ever wonder who starts the rumour?
I don't know, but I think they're really cool. So, but that's actually not a fact because Walt Disney was cremated. But some of the rumours of him being there, there's other rumours of like injuries that have happened, weird deaths, human ashes being scattered on rides.
Well, that's got to have happened, hasn't it? Imagine getting a load of that in your mouth.
People do scatter ashes, don't they, when they shouldn't?
Yeah. We can't even do it you can't do it without permission in like lakes and stuff.
But people do. People do. And the particular rides that they scatter ashes on are the Haunted Mansion, which I think is very strange. Is actually a really good ride. And Pirates of the Caribbean. There's rumoured to be underground tunnels or an underground city underneath Disneyland.
Love a tunnel.
Wow. There's a rumour of a lot of those sorts of things in America.
I feel like that could be a real thing. I feel like the Americans are so out there. I know we've got a bit of an American listening, but I feel like they're so out there that they would create something that's as close to like a paradise as possible and then just pop a hell underneath.
Do you know what? Because it's so clean. Disneyland is clean. Right. And everywhere you go, all the theme parks in America, they are pristine. They are so clean. It's not like going to Alton Towers here where you can't go into the toilets because there's fucking bog roll everywhere. Yeah, it's not like the UK. It's definitely cleaner. But underneath, I suppose, you've got this beautiful pristineness on the top of Disneyland, but there's a lot of people there. So they are going to generate rubbish and dirt, aren't they? And that is where it goes. It goes underneath. The props and people like staff moving from place to place.
It's got to have a network under there to make it look so seamless, I imagine. It's only like thinking about, if you go to a really beautiful theatre or event space and you look at that theatre and you think, oh, wow, it's so beautiful. Albert Hall, for example, is gorgeous. Backstage and in the bowels of these places don't look a bit like that. You could be anywhere. They're grim. So it makes sense, doesn't it? Because they're just routes for people to carry out their jobs. So it would just be that on a much grander scale, wouldn't it? And they've got to get those dead bodies out.
Absolutely. All those dead bodies from over the years. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting, all the darker side of it. And of course, when you work with people, whatever job you do, there is going to be that, like you say, that there's the customer service, the smile and the...
And then where do they go for a fag?
Absolutely, because they're only human. Or shout at the wall. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so I found a list that was called the most traumatising kids' films. Admittedly, I've not seen all of these, but I thought we'd have a quick discussion just to end Death and Disney. The Land Before Time, 1988. A great film. Dinosaurs. Parental death. The parents die.
Yes.
The mom and dad
dinosaurs. Do you know what, though? It's just given me a mad, flashback of watching Watership Down.
Oh, I watched that with my dad and he had the LP, had the record.
Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, my brother cried. That reminds me of my brother, that film. That was epic, sad.
That was sad.
Terror.
Yeah, terror. That awful, horrid bunny.
Yeah, with the red eyes.
With the red eyes and he's kind of like...
He's like bloodthirsty.
Yeah,
he's horrible.
Yeah, and there's blood around his mouth, isn't there?
I can't remember, but I just remember it being really traumatic.
I feel like I watched that a lot as a kid. And again, would I show my children Watership Down? Mine would both cry. They cried at the Take That musical.
They definitely cried Watership Down.
Okay, so there's The Land Before Time. Excuse me, ruffling papers for our listeners and not viewers. My Girl, which we've already talked about. That was 91. That was the year my sister was born.
Wow.
I know, right? We're old.
Yeah.
So that was the first film I ever watched that was a real film about death.
I thought they did it amazingly.
The Lion King, we've talked about. Bridge to
Terabithia.
I've never seen it.
I remember my older kids watching it.
It popped up on Netflix the other day. Is it worth watching?
It's a good film.
Is it going to make my children cry?
I can't remember it being sad, but I remember it being a good film.
Okay, well, it's a sudden off-screen death plus grief, apparently.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of jeopardy and stuff involved, but...
Fox and the Hound? I never watched that, did you?
Don't remember it.
The Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
Great song for a start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did try and watch this with the children. They cried straight away because of the horse dying. I mean, it's sad though. The horse dying is sad.
I can't even remember it. I remember bits of it. Flight of the Navigator, do you remember that?
Yeah, watched it not long ago. Absolutely brilliant. Not much death in that though.
No.
It's just brilliant. Kids like that and they didn't cry, so that was good. Bambi. It says here The Sixth Sense. But
I love that film.
It's not a kids' film though, is it?
Is that 1999?
Afraid so.
Mate, that is a wicked film. I see dead people.
You do.
I actually do daily, but he did as well. I thought that was quite scary, and I loved the twist at the end. Do you remember it?
I've seen it, but I don't think I'd watch it now because I'm way more wimpy than I was. Can I just ask, do you say that line at work sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Along with, there's been a murder. just to be stupid, like Taggart.
Stand By Me.
Oh, they found a dead body in that. Yeah, that was good.
All Dogs Go to Heaven. Never heard of it, have you?
I have heard of it. Again, the older children watched that, but I couldn't tell you what it was about because it's a long time ago.
And I can't think of any others. Other than Watership Down. We can't believe that's not involved. In fact, I'd rate My Girl, then Watership Down as my childhood traumatic film.
Finding Nemo?
No. Yeah, I'm not bothered about that. What happens in that? Oh, yeah, mom dies.
I mean, the mum dies.
Yeah, I mean.
And then he gets separated from his dad.
Yeah.
There's a bit of jeopardy in all of the films, isn't there?
Mm.
But yeah, there's some really sad films there. Very sad.
And now, thanks to you, Carrie, we can discover the dark underbelly of Disneyland.
Oh yeah, Google it. It's good. It's interesting.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We are going to talk to you. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in to It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are dying to talk to you.